Herds of deer graze peacefully in the African bushland, while at the other end of the world, baby seals drift lazily on the Arctic ice floes. But both are linked by the same threat, man and his greed. Since 1600, 1 in every 100 species of bird and mammal has become extinct, and 3% of those left alive are now under severe threat from man. United Nations Secretary-General U Thant.
The total effects of changes within all countries, added together, will require joint international surveillance, consultations, and actions if human life on this planet is to be preserved and enriched.
As the threat grows, ECHO this week looks at the relationship between man and his environment. Man takes every opportunity to commune with nature, to satisfy a basic urge. Since it's there for his enjoyment and use, he assumes it has no limits. The great natural canopies of the forest do indeed appear majestically indestructible, providing food and shelter to an infinite variety of natural life. These conditions, in turn, have provided food and shelter for the most highly evolved of nature's creatures, man. Nature has been bountiful, always maintaining its resources in a delicate balance. All nature's creations are relative to each other, intertwined in an undiminishing cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Somewhere, every living creature finds its particular place of shelter in which to breed and create another generation of its own kind. Man, the innovator, is the only living organism to move away from the set cycle and create his own unnatural habitat, the city. In his drive for independence, man has moved from the shelter of nature into the artificial life of a manufactured community, a monument to superiority over nature and his vanity. But the city utterly fails as an artificial environment in at least one punishing aspect. Unlike nature, it does not replace what it uses. Instead, the city industriously goes about creating an environment of waste, useless and dangerous waste. Man is rapidly approaching the stage where, with the continued growth of these communities, his entire planet may become engulfed in a conglomeration of buildings, factories, and stinking piles of refuse. Millions of gallons of human sewage flow out of these cities with daily regularity. Much is simply pumped into nearby rivers and streams, where it combines with lethal industrial waste. Each year, more rivers are added to the list of dead waterways. The main river wrecker is industry, using colossal quantities of water and pumping back millions of gallons of toxic effluent. In the United States in 1968, more than 15 million fish died as a result of water pollution, and in Britain, more than 1,000 miles of inland waterway are seriously polluted. But industry is not entirely to blame. As more and more land is devoured by agriculture to feed the world's spiraling population, advanced farming technology is taking a terrible toll of the environment. Chemicals such as DDT run off into streams which carry them into the marshlands and lakes, home to much of the world's wildlife. The most dangerous feature of such chemicals is the way in which they are concentrated in food cycles. Although these chemicals and pollutants may be dispersed by a fast-flowing stream, they are permanently trapped in lakes such as this. It's here that the cycle begins. Fish feed on contaminated plankton and build up poison in their bodies. The amount absorbed by the fish is not fatal, but a large bird eating several of the contaminated fish may well pick up enough poison to kill itself. Lakes such as this are the breeding and feeding grounds for many large migratory birds. Here they raise their young, and at the end of the season, most leave. But many don't. These birds are the victim of man's carelessness. We may never know just how many birds, small mammals and fish have been poisoned by weed killers and insecticides used by men without sufficient care or knowledge. But it is known that if pollution of the environment continues at such a rate, these marshlands, once thronging with life, may fall silent. One of the last untouched strongholds of wildlife is the inhospitable Everglades region in the southern United States. But even in this desolate wasteland, man has begun to trespass again. The fashionable resorts of Miami attract millions of visitors each year, and a new airport is needed. Modern jet aircraft will drive the wildlife from the area. But it's in Africa that the world's greatest collection of wildlife is concentrated. Almost all African governments have introduced special legislation to protect their remaining species. But still the killing goes on. Clearly there is some justification for man's slaughter of those animals which he eats or which eat him. But the unforgivable aspect of man's killings is that he alone kills for the sake of vanity. Whether it is the vanity of the portly millionaire who hunts among the last remaining wild animals for a trophy, or that of the international actress who boasts a wardrobe of animal skin coats. In just 10 months, fashionable women have caused the deaths of 500 leopards, 100,000 blue foxes, 750,000 beavers, and 500,000 seals. These wild animals have been slaughtered through the most strange of man's quirks. Man almost smothers his pets and domestic animals with affection, but at the same time condones the killing of wild animals to feed them. Thus man has all but reversed the cycle of nature. The fittest die to feed his playthings, pet food. So this is our environment. Everything, both plant and animal, has its place, and we rely on this to ensure our continued survival. It is from this environment that we all make our living. But now this entire life cycle is under threat of death, not from any nuclear holocaust, but simply the greed of mankind. Every one of nature's creations, from the humble caterpillar to the fragile beauty of the butterfly, has its particular task in life. By his interference with these natural processes, man is rapidly upsetting the delicate cycle of nature, and many animals are threatened with imminent extinction. Daily we are confronted with the effects of our complex society. As we consume nature's resources to feed our industry, these processes are in turn destroying our environment. Conservationists have warned that unless immediate measures are taken, this generation of humans may go down in history as the greatest destructive vandals of all time.